Hi everyone, it's your UC Alice, and today we're going to go over your flipped collab for EDU40002 Assignment 2. We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne's Australian campuses are located, and pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging. We are honoured to recognise our connection to the Wurundjeri country, history, culture and spirituality through these locations, and strive to ensure that we operate in a manner that respects and honours the elders and ancestors of these lands. We also respectfully acknowledge Swinburne's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander staff, students, alumni, partners and visitors. We also acknowledge and respect the traditional owners of lands across Australia, their elders, ancestors, cultures and heritage, and recognise the continuing sovereignties of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island nations. We respectfully recognise the diversity on country of which we are grateful to live and learn. So assignment 2 is a folio. It's the word limit is 2,000 words and it's worth 50% of your grade and due on 5 p.m. on Monday of week 12. So this assignment task is a very, very practical one, and we've had lots of feedback previously from students that they found this very practical and useful and really enjoyed it. It will allow you to integrate your knowledge of plane environment from across the unit and put this theory into practice. You will develop a folio that incorporates design plans for 2 learning environments that invite engagement, active learning and constructive play. And if you would like to read further about the unit learning outcomes 4, 5 and 6, you can find them hyperlinked on the A2 page on Canvas. So as I've said, you will create 2 design plans for 2 different environments. The first one is for the early childhood age group, and that is outdoors, and that is for 0 to 5 years old. The second plan is for primary children. This plan is indoor. Again, it's a play-based learning environment for children aged 5 to 8 years old. So as you can see here, this is just a way to break down the word count for you. You can see that we've allocated roughly 1,000 words to each plan. So 1,000 words for the early childhood and 1,000 words for the primary age plan. So remember that having a read along down the left now. So early childhood is an outdoor environment. So we suggest that you give an overview and summary, about 200 words of the environment. You'll spend about 750 words on your rationale and about 50 words on your sources. And again, then with plan 2, so you allocate around 1,000 words for that. It's you'll have to give a floor plan of an indoor foundation to 2 environment. You'll have to allocate about 200 words to an overview and summary, about 750 words to a rationale, and around 50 words for your sources. So we'll get to what the sources are in a moment. And please provide just 1 reference list for both of these plans. Please don't generate 2 separate reference lists. We just want 1. And that will obviously include your references to literature, link to any sources used, and include your images, your references of images. Please separate your images and include these below the main reference list. So the key elements of your folio. So there's, you could kind of break it up into 3 main elements. So obviously you've got your floor plans. These could be hand-drawn or developed with a computer app. Now there are some examples of these on the Padlet of some different apps that you're more than welcome to use, or you might have your own that you're happy to use. So we will leave that open to you. The second key element of your folio are visuals. So things such as pictures, sketches, drawings, and photos to illustrate your resources, settings, or effects. And then part 3 is a textual explanation and analysis. So you will include an overview of and a description, which is where you describe your environment and include its goals. You will need to outline the environment and state the intended age group. So please make sure you're stating in each of your plans what is the age group and whether it's indoor or outdoor. Then you will give a summary of key features of the space and setting. Discuss the key aspects and features of the space. You can use images and written descriptions describe the focal points, flexibility, inclusivity, accessibility, elements of nature, and the open-endedness of the space. You will include a rationale, so that will further unpack your key features so you can see how it's all fitting in together. This is where you will describe and discuss your key aspects, analyze them, and explain how they invite engagement, active learning, and constructive play. Now, the part on the previous slide where I said the sources, you will include any inspirations here, such as an early childhood centre, perhaps as one that you've worked at, or a primary setting that you've worked at that you felt that has just been amazing. Something in a school, a museum, or any other sources of inspiration. So that will be very brief, and you'll discuss how they support children's play experiences. And of course, you will include a reference list, including the course readings, hopefully as a start, but please also do your own research, and it will include your image references. So this is an example image here on the right of just a way that a previous student has shown a way to illustrate their indoor environment. So as we've said, so we just want everyone to be very clear, you will be developing two plans. You don't get to choose one or the other. You need to do both. So an outdoor plan for early childhood children and an indoor plan for primary age children. Your plans can be hand-drawn and scanned if you like, or you could use design or drawing apps. There are lots of examples on the tools section of the Padlet, and we invite you to be creative and use your imagination here. There is no set budget, so this is a really engaging task where you get to be creative and really use your eye for design here. So this is just one sample here. So you'll see how the student has used titles, they've used arrows and captions as labels, and they've done different colors for different items, and they've very clearly indicated what the space is. So what you can do here, say for example, for your indoor plan for the primary age children, you can focus on the wider room, or you could just focus on one section of the room. So for example, if you were implementing a makerspace in your room for the primary children indoors, you could just focus on the makerspace for your plan if you liked. Or you might feel that you have lots of great ideas and you want to illustrate the whole room. And so you're going to give us a picture of the whole room in your plan. So that is up to you. And that's, again, this is just one example to show you how it can be done. Obviously, there are many other ways. And also with this example here, if you wanted to, you might find when you're doing your outdoor plan that you have a lot of things to label. If you feel it's easier to number them and do a number key down the bottom, for example, you might choose to have a water feature somewhere in your outdoor plan. And so you might label that, number that as number 1, and then down the bottom, you would just say number 1 is water feature. So if you wanted to use numbers, that would be fine. Or if you wanted to use numbers and captions or labels here, as this person has in this example, that would be fine too. So the assignment task, you will need to develop your folio of your two plans that invite engagement, active learning, and constructive play. So there's 4 main criteria here which your work will be assessed on. Number 1, you will need to understand and make assessment of the key aspects and features of play environments that support children aged 0 to 8. You will need to show a capacity to describe and analyze the aesthetic and creative features of play environments that invite engagement, active learning, and constructive play. You will need to show a capacity to describe and analyze the role of features, nature and natural materials in the play environment for children aged 0 to 8 years of age. So don't forget, on that note, the primary plan that's indoors, that should also include elements of nature and natural materials. So just because it's inside doesn't mean that won't be applicable to your primary plan. And of course, we'll be looking for a high standard of presentation and written expression. And please refer to the A2 page on Canvas to view the criteria in full to see how your marks will be allocated. Now, remember that this is a holistic rubric, which means you need to fulfill all the criteria for one grade band to move up into the next grade band. So, for example, to achieve a distinction, you need to fulfill all of the criteria in the pass and the credit and the distinction to achieve that grade. So it's really important that you empower yourself with that knowledge on the criteria page. So using images, your floor plans can be made up of a series of photograph, images, or sketches. Now, please note, we do not want any children in any photos, please, even if they're your own or your best friend's child and they've said you can absolutely use them. We respectfully decline that. We do not want any children. We just want the plans of your design, please. Now, with APA 7, there's 2 different ways to reference your images. So this point here, number 1, it depends on whether your image is a clip art or a stock image. And if it states no attribution required, then you don't need to provide an APA style reference. Okay, so you would just provide a figure number and a title. But if it might be an image that requires an attribution, so they might there might be a license saying that attribution is required. So you would need to cite that accordingly. You would need to use a figure note and a reference list entry for this image. Okay, so it says many but not all images with Creative Commons licenses require attribution. So it's really important that you make sure the images that you're using, you need to look carefully on the sources to see whether they require attribution or not. And I retrieved this information here from this link down the bottom from the APA style, and I've also put this on the Padlet. So it's really important that you make sure that you're citing these images properly. So submitting your work. Obviously, it will be done in the assignment 2 submission spot, but the important part here is that it's just one Word or PDF document. Now, if you feel that your work is moving around and images are jumping around the page, which it can often do in Word when you start saving, you can do your final save as a PDF and upload that. That would be fine. Okay, please make sure that your images are in the body of your assignment. Don't pop them in an appendix or upload any additional files. It's just the one document which contains everything in there. And there's lots of support for you on the A2 Padlet, as I've said, about referencing images. So for an extension request, obviously we understand due to the current state of the world, which is unfortunately continuing, that there are circumstances where you will need an extension, but we do advise try to avoid it if you can. If you can get a head start on your assignment and start early, we definitely accept early submission. So if you want to get going, obviously everything and all the resources are online for you to access at any point in time, because we just want you to understand that if you do need a long extension, sometimes it can delay the release of your results, because your results have to be put through as deferred and then they have to be amended later on, and that whole process can take several weeks. So if you do need a assignment request, please do that on the request for assignment extension tab, which is on the A2 page on Canvas. 48 hours can be approved quite easily by your ELA. If you need anything over 48 hours, please know that we require you to upload a medical certificate with that request. So don't forget, there's obviously a huge range of support for you with completing this assignment. So you've got your discussion boards, you've got the Padlet. Please participate in the weekly activities, because that supports you in helping your knowledge come together. We've got the Collab sessions. And if you're requiring further support, we've got things such as Studiosity and the Student Hub, and also the student advisors or student coaches if you need it. And we do have 2 live collabs for this assignment. So the dates are here, and they've also already been posted to the Padlet, but we will post them again. And obviously they will be helpful in helping you finalize some understandings if you want to log on to those. Thanks, everyone. We're looking forward to working with you to complete your work. Bye.